Stay live. What's going on, everybody? Look what we got here. The AWFS desk is almost complete. I'll run you around the backside in just a second so you can see what else we need to work on. But the front and the tops, they're done. I'm thinking they turned out pretty good. I like the way they turned out. We got this Sherwin-Williams tricorn black in satin that we sprayed on there last week. We went through and you saw me spray these with primer. This is the top section, this is the bottom section. So right now this is just loose. It's just not fastened down yet because I'm gonna be priming and painting little fasteners. I'll show you that in just a second. But we got these tops done. We did that in, I think, the second live. We got them cut, sanded, sealed, and finished. And then, like I said last week, we went through and sprayed these with primer. I went through and sanded them, and then that same day, I threw a couple coats of black paint on it. And if you guys want to know more about that process, go back and watch the live from last week. But yeah, we're almost finished with it. Let me show you where we're at and what we're going to be doing today. Thanks for everybody for joining. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday so far. Actually, I tell you what, I'm just going to do a little walk around so that we can see the entire kind of the back side of it as well, and you'll see what we're working on. So here it is. And as you can see, still got some work to do on the front here. Now, I intentionally didn't feel like taping all of that off and spraying it. So what I'm gonna do is just take a roller, a fine nap roller, and we're just gonna go ahead and roll that on. It's gonna be way easier than having to try to tape everything and then spray it. But yeah, so I took all the fronts off. We have the doors already primed, which we did last week. And I ended up attaching this black top piece to the actual countertop on the top there. Kind of flip that over and show you what we got going on there. So basically what I did, and see, just a quick reminder for you guys. Thank you all for joining. For those of you on Instagram, your audio is not going to be as good because when I get further away from the phone, you're not going to be able to hear me as well. But if you jump over to YouTube, I am wearing a mic. It's going to pick up my voice a lot better when I'm talking at a normal level, but I'm not close to the camera. So if you want better audio, if I'm a little further away, I know we got some forklifts going, some background noise, but if you guys want a little bit better audio, jump over to YouTube. So that said, let's kind of take a look at this top here. So like I said, it's not fastened on there right now. So I was kind of debating on how to actually fasten this to the top here, and I was thinking a couple different things. I could have done kind of pocket screws that go into it, but obviously on one side or the other, I would either have to plug the holes or just leave them and paint them, and it just wouldn't be as aesthetic. And I wanted this to have kind of a more professional look. Another thing I could have used was some little L brackets like I used for the top, which I'll show you in just a second. So I have these, which are just kind of like these little L bracket things. And I was gonna use these, do like 2 on the sides and then 2 on the front here. But I just want it to be a little bit cleaner and minimize the holes in the actual top here. Because I'm thinking after so this is going to be used for the AWFS convention in Las Vegas around July 25th to 28th. However, after that, I'm not really sure what we're going to do with it yet. So I'm trying to give myself a few options. I don't want to, I didn't want to drill dowels into the top here because I'd like to be able to take this off if I want to and then have a full surface to maybe work on or utilize in some other way rather than having this be a permanent fixture like glued on there and stuff. I just wanted it to be fixed on there for the show, and then if I needed to, be able to take it off after and not have too many like big holes or glue or anything like that on this top here. So what I ended up going with was I'm using these brackets here. They're just kind of like little corner brackets, and I just sprayed them with some primer, and I'm going to be painting them black as well so they blend in with this. And I'm just going to be putting them right here in the corner. So I'm just going to be putting one in that corner like that, and then obviously one in the opposite corner over there. So that's kind of all I think it needs, just to be kind of secured down. I mean, it's already pretty solid, like unless somebody's really pulling on it or leaning, it could tip forward, but I think once I get those screws in there, it should be solid enough for, at least for the show. If we decide we want to make this more permanent fixture and have this on there, I can always do something, maybe throw some glue underneath or something that really lock it onto this top here. So it's kind of where we're at. I do need to, like I said, still spray these black so they kind of blend in a little bit more. And then show you kind of what we got going on. Like I said, I'm going to be rolling the front faces on this. So we still have that to do. And as well as the doors and drawer fronts. So I was kind of going through this morning a little bit and just getting these prepped a little bit for paint. This is just primer right now. So I was just using, I was going between this one. This is the Surf Prep. Let's see if it has a name. Surf Prep Electric Orbital Sander. It says 1/8 inch, 9,000 OPM. So this thing's pretty great actually. I like it for this specific purpose. It can get into those square corners, as you'll see in just a second. And it works pretty great for suction as well. The pads are nice. I did have kind of a cushiony pad on there, but it was rounding off the edges a little bit too much and not really getting the flat surfaces. So I decided to take that off, and now I just have kind of the more firm flat one on there. So it's kind of what I'm going to be starting on today, and then hopefully we can get this all set. That way we can jump outside again and go give them a spray. So I'm going to just get started here. Just going to get to sanding, and we have it hooked up to the Surf Prep vac over here. I'm not sure the specific name for it, but yep, Surf Prep vac hooked up. Automatic dust clearing from the filter, I guess you could say. So you'll hear it running, and then all of a sudden you'll hear kind of this boom, boom, and that's it clearing itself out, clearing that filter out. So a really cool feature on that. Also, it's automatic. When I start up the sander here, it will start up and automatically start vacuuming. Super cool feature. So definitely check out Surf Prep. They got a lot of cool stuff, so check them out. And let's get to it. Thanks again for everybody joining today. I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday so far. I'm gonna jump into it. So one thing I should mention is that with these doors, I'm not trying to do like a really, really high-end job or anything like that. These are just pre-made doors that came with the pre-made cabinet from Lowe's. And so they're not the best quality in the first place, but I'm not too worried about it because it's really just going to be for storage in there. And so we don't need it to be kind of like the front face of the cabinet or anything like that. So I'm just trying to get them kind of smoothed up enough to get a nice coat of paint on there, and that it's not going to be all grippy and the grain's going to be sticking up. Once I did spray that primer on though, it did pop that grain quite a bit. So right now I'm just trying to go through and knock that down. And obviously I'm taking off a little bit of the primer, but the paint I have is really good quality, so I'm not worried about it making any difference if there's a little bit of wood showing. Get you guys a good angle here. And it doesn't take much with this Surf Prep sander. That's what I'm talking about when it's cleaning itself, that popping. It's a really cool feature. Feels nice and smooth. Right, it's feeling pretty good. Almost done sanding here. All right, I already did the sides on that one. Okay, so those are all good. Oh, here we go. One more door here. I think I pretty much did this one already, but I'm just gonna go back and make sure. Feels pretty good. All right. We're ready for paint. We got to go get set up outside. So I'll go ahead and bring the camera out right now so you guys can just be outside waiting for me. And then I got to come back in and obviously bring the doors out and then bring the extension cord out. I already have the sprayer out there, so get that set up in just a minute. I can get this extension cord out. There we go. All right, let's squeeze through here. Tripod does not want to fit. Okay. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. Trying to do multiple things at once here. We back? I think we're back. Okay. Back. Instagram still rolling. I'm gonna join the hotspot so that we get connection. All right. I think we're still there. Oh, pause due to poor connection. Uh-oh. All right, I think we're good. Hopefully everything stays connected. We're using data now, so hopefully it doesn't glitch out too much. All right, let's get set up. Last week I was out here spraying and I got my first sunburn of the year. Okay, I'll be right back. I need to go the extension cord and the doors and bring them out, so I'll be running in and out. Just a second. All right, doors check. And I got my little brackets. So definitely not a professional paint setup for spraying doors. By no means is this a professional setup. The paint system is, but the where I'm spraying them is not ideal. But I think I can get away with it, so we should be good. Okay, I'm gonna run and get the extension cord and get some power over to the sprayer here. I just got locked out. I'll have to run the building and come in the other way, so sorry guys, give me just a minute. Okay. All right, goodness. Fiasco. Plug the sprayer in. Make sure we got power. Yes, we have power. Make sure we still got connection. All right, still got connection. Now, let's make sure our sprayer's set up, ready to go here. All right, that's good to go. Make sure our nozzle's spraying correctly. Just gonna go test it over here on this little thing. All right, we should be good to go. Okay. Now I'm just gonna try to do some light coats, just because I want them to dry pretty quickly. So just gonna spray it lightly, and then it should kind of cook on there pretty quick because the sun is out. And I am going to sand between coats as well to get any little dust particles and stuff off. Yeah, that's already dry there, so it should be a pretty quick process here. Oh no! Classic. All right, that should be good. All right, first coat done. Let's get you guys a little view here. So not too bad. I'm just, like I said, trying to do it pretty quick just to get it done. It is drying rapidly because of the sun, and it's obviously a dark paint, black. It's gonna absorb that heat and dry out really quick, so. These guys, I'm gonna give another spray. missed kind of these inside corners here, so give that a quick spritz. So let's talk about paint for a second. So I am using, I wish I could take you guys off the tripod easily, but I can't. Some of you might be able to see. I don't know if you can zoom in or not, but what we're using today for paint is, this is my favorite paint. So this is the Emerald from Sherwin-Williams. Emerald urethane trim enamel. And the thing that I really love about this paint, this is basically their like top of the line paint. A lot of guys use this for like nice trim work or yeah, just getting a really nice like kind of hard finish. So it's an enamel urethane or urethane trim enamel. So basically what it does is it's gonna spray on kind of like an oil and kind of lay out really smooth. And then it'll also, after you give it probably like a week or two, it'll harden to a really nice hard finish. So unlike latex, for instance, it stays soft. You can kind of put your fingernail in it and it kind of peels off. So unlike that, this stuff will get, it takes time, but it'll get to a point where it starts getting hard enough to where it'll chip. If you like try to really pry it off or something, it'll chip instead of peel. So that's why I like to use it a lot for like cabinetry, stuff like that. They do have a commercial grade version of this that I was using for a while, but there wasn't a commercial store nearby me, so I had to get this one. I got some airplanes flying over. For those of you that weren't around last week, this is my sprayer setup that I use. Been using this for about 3-4 years now. And this thing's an absolute workhorse. It's a Magnum Pro X19 by Graco. It's an airless sprayer. Essentially, it doesn't need any sort of pump or air compressor or anything like that to run. Basically just kind of a plug-and-play setup. So you just get your paint set up in there and then hook it up to electrical, pull the trigger, and you're good to go. It sprays like crazy. The thing I really like about this is it is versatile, so I can use this to spray an entire house if I wanted to. I have used this one actually to spray like a 2.5-story house before on the outside. It can put out a lot of paint if you want it to, but also if you turn the pressure down and you get the right tip, you can also use it for like what I'm doing. And this is, again, kind of a rough scenario here because I'm not taking my time too much on these doors, but you can do like a really nice fine finish with this machine as well. So the important thing though is you have to use the right paint and the right primer. So I like to try to only use water-based just because oil, it can be a pain in the butt to clean up. You have to use all kinds of chemicals and stuff. I don't really like that. Much rather just be able to use water to clean up. So this is water-based, this Emerald trim enamel. So that's another reason why I like it. And yeah, gives a really nice finish, nice sheen, lays down really nicely. But yeah, so it's the setup today, and it's the paint. Let's see how these doors are turned out here. Okay. It's probably, like, it's still a tiny bit tacky, but I think it's probably good enough for me to just flip over. Let me see if it's gonna stick. Yeah. So like I said, I'm not too worried about getting these to be like a fine finish on there. I'm just trying to get a couple on there and make it smooth enough to where it doesn't look terrible. So if the backs are not perfect, I'm not too worried about it. So I think I'll start flipping these over and putting some coats on the front, because the backs are dry to the touch. They're not cured yet, obviously, because they're still a little bit tacky, but I think they're going to be good enough to flip over and then at least get a couple coats going on the front here. And I am expecting it to stick a little bit and then get some, but like I said, for the sake of time, I'm just going to go for it. And I wouldn't highly suggest spraying your stuff outdoors. If you have to, you can. It obviously eliminates a lot of the fume problems and stuff like that. However, you are going to get some dust particles and debris that settles on there, versus if you're in an indoor shop and you have circulated air that's filtered and stuff like that, then you can get a better finish, a more professional look. But you can do it outside like this and get a pretty decent finish. You just have to make sure the environment's right, you're not near like a really dusty road or something like that. And ideally, it's not ideal to do it on a windy day like this, but it is what it is. All right, it's a good start. One of the things with oak as well, one of the things with doing projects with oak is that when you paint it, I don't know how you guys can see me here, but when you paint the oak, you still see the pores. You still see the pores there because it has those deep pores. So if you're doing like cabinetry out of oak, ideally you just stain it and finish it with a clear coat. If you are going to be repainting oak cabinets, really the ideal thing you want to do is fill the pores with a pore filler. If you don't, you'll still see the grain of the wood, which is fine, but if you're going for a really nice professional quality cabinet look, it's ideal to fill the pores, which is a lot of extra work, but it's going to be worth it if you're trying to do a really nice professional look finish. So just something else to think about. All right, so these are dry now. You can see they started just bare metal, did a little bit of primer on there, and then sprayed that black paint on there. And something about this paint too, I'm not sure what it is, but it almost has a pearlescent feel to it. It has a tiny bit of shimmer in there. I don't know if you guys will be able to see or not, but it has like a little bit of pearlescent going on YouTube. Like I said, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it or not, but I noticed that on the actual cabinet when I sprayed it black as well, that it did look a little shimmery, which I kind of like. I think it's kind of cool, but yeah, I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna let these sit, and we're gonna bring the setup back inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug the sprayer from the tripod, and let's go back inside where it's a little cooler out. It's not as toasty. Right, and yeah, I can bring it in this way. So let's go back inside. Stairs. Oh, got these tripod legs out. There we go. All right. Ooh, much cooler. The warehouse going. And back to the shop. So, there we are. That's where the money is. Like I said, we got these two we just sprayed outside. Looking pretty good. Bare metal on the bottom, got that black, so just set them in there and see what it looks like. Hopefully it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Obviously it's gonna be a little bit, but this one is for this side. Yeah, that's not bad. Bam. I like that. So they blend in much better now, as you can see, or as you can't see because they were blending in so well. But yeah, that's the point of those. Wanted to spray them black. Obviously they need time to cure. But so now I do need to work on getting this face rolled out. I don't think I'm gonna do that on the live stream today, just because I do need to unhook the paint from the sprayer and kind of tear down that whole setup, and I don't really feel like doing that on stream today. So I'll probably just skip that step. What do we want to work on now? I think what we're gonna do is switch it up a little bit here. So I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna do something a little different. So last week I showed this little contraption that I made here. Had you guys guess what it is, and Stacy Lewis Designs guessed correctly that it is a holder for a sharpening stone. Now, I am no professional sharpener. In fact, I'm very much a beginner at sharpening. But I got a little setup So basically what I did was I went with the Rob Cosman method. Essentially, we have a Shapton 16,000 glass stone. There you are, 16,000 glass stone. This thing's really awesome. It gets like a really nice sharp edge on your blades. So we've got that. Also have this guy here. This is the Tren Diamond Stone. This is a 300 on this side and then 1,000 grit on this side. Diamond stone. And voila. So it's nice and snug in there. Before, what I had was basically they just give you like this little thing here. And yeah, it's okay. It's okay when you're starting out like this and it's pretty dry, but once you get a little bit of water under there, it starts sliding around a lot and it loses any grip you have on it. So I wanted something a little bit more substantial, and I didn't really feel like spending the extra money to get the Trend or the Shapton holder, just because it's, I don't know, it's extra money, and I have free wood sitting here, some scraps laying around, so I ended up making this guy here to use as kind of a little sharpening system. So I was mentioning last week that I made this dimension for this Trend stone and it fits in there nicely, and then I realized that the Shapton did not fit in there at first because they were different sizes. You can notice it's thinner this way and then it was longer this way. So what I had to do is just kind of chisel out just like a 1/16 on either side, and then now it should fit snugly right in there. And it's just a little bit loose side to side, but I'm not too worried as long as it stays generally in the same place. So I'm very much experimenting with how to sharpen because, like I said, I am no professional at doing this. However, I've watched basically the Rob Cosman, I forget what it is, 32 seconds to sharp or something like that. If you haven't seen that video, go over to YouTube, Rob Cosman, I think it's called 32 seconds to sharp or something along those lines, but super helpful. And he also has a lot of videos on how to sharpen chisels from the box, how to sharpen plane blades, all kinds of stuff. So I think what I'm gonna do is start sharpening a chisel. Now, let me bring my chisel set over. So believe it or not, I've been doing woodworking for, probably off and on for, I'd say, 6 or 7 years full time, and never once have I bought a nice or even a decent set of chisels. I've only had really like rough chisels that you buy at Lowe's or something. And these by no means, I just got these recently, but these by no means are nice chisels, but they're enough for what I'm gonna be doing to begin with. So I started off already working on 2 of them. So flattening the back there, and then also trying to get a little secondary bevel going. However, I want to keep going through. I still have 4 to work on, and then this one I got to a pretty good point. Kind of, you can see I got that mirror finish going on the back there, but definitely not exactly. So this is kind of where it starts at. So I'll bring it a little closer, you can see. So it starts that kind of, that finish there. It's got those grind marks and a lot of scratches going. So basically just trying to need to flatten it and polish those out. And then the front obviously is just, you know, you have the normal edge that was ground. these are just an Amazon chisel set. And like I said, I didn't I didn't want to spend like $600-700 on a nice chisel set, just because I don't use them that much, and so I wanted to, just buy a cheaper set, use them, and figure out how I want to work with them as well as how to sharpen them, so I don't ruin a really nice set. So this is kind of my beginner set, and just kind of experimenting on working with stuff, but. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start. Let me bring you guys around the other side here. Let's see. Get you guys a good angle so you can watch here. I'm going to do it in this corner. And we'll get kind of a closer look at things here. So by no means is this my method. It is, like I said, I'm a very beginner at sharpening chisels, but hey, gotta give it a shot. So one of the things I did was I bought this off Amazon, and I got a little bit too antsy to use it, and I did start using it with just water. And as you can see, it started to not fully rust, but it did start to get some color on it that was the beginning of rust happening, and I got really scared, so I like freaked out, and I dried it all off and then hoped for the best, because the next day my Honrite came, which is essentially a rust inhibitor. Again, Rob Cosman recommended it, and seems to work super well so far. So this basically, you add it to water, it's like a little container, you add a little bit to water, and then it helps prevent rust from forming on metal. So it's gonna prevent the rust from forming on this, which is a piece of steel, as well as forming on the chisels as well, or whatever you're sharpening. So I've not actually used this setup yet. I have used these blocks a little bit, but not this setup, so I'm gonna kind of see if I like it or not. Get any kind of oil and stuff off first. Okay. Now the wood that I have holding it is ipe wood, which is naturally resistant to water and rot. So that's kind of the reason that I chose it, because I knew I'd be spraying stuff on it. And this is kind of a butcher block. I'm not expecting it to like last and, I don't know, not get warped or something, but I don't know, just a fun little project to work on. So, all right, let's get to it. Nice and lubricated. And then obviously I know my method is not going to be probably 100% correct, but like I said, I'm a beginner. Just trying to start somewhere here. And let's see what the wear pattern looks like. Okay, so one of the good things about these chisels so far is that, let's see if you can see here. So it's wearing here, and it's wearing at the tip, which is what I would prefer, because I have a hollow spot here, which I'm not super worried about. But if it was hollow on the tip and it was like rocking or something, that would be the worst case scenario. But this is doable because I have a reference here and a reference here for flat. And then, yeah, I think I'll keep going a little bit, kind of try to wear that spot away a little bit more. And it is good practice, like Rob says, to flip your stone around. Even though this one doesn't technically wear out like the Shapton would, but it's just good practice. So I think, yeah, I'll just kind of flip it around here. And this is a 300 grit that I'm using right now just to kind of blow through most of that material. All right, so that's actually getting a lot better very quickly. And let me get a rag real quick. Okay, so you can see that spot in the center is getting a lot smaller already. And I've only worked on it for probably a minute and a half so far. And obviously the 300 grit stone is going to be leaving those marks in it, but the point is that we're trying to get it flat. So I'm going to keep going a little bit, because if we can get it fully flat and wear out those marks, then that would be ideal. And so far, my stand's working great. It's not moving anywhere. So I'm really liking it. At this stage, the most important thing is just to keep it flat on the surface. You definitely don't want to come up at all, as well as you don't want to be going like that, because then you're going to wear a groove back here. So. And we are very close to getting that all the way off, which is why this diamond stone is pretty awesome, because it just blows through the material really quickly and easily. See how we're looking. All right. You probably can't even see it on camera, but there's just a few grooves right here. You can kind of see it on camera when it flashes. Those grooves are left from the initial machining, so I'm just going to do a little bit more till I can get those off, and then we're looking really good. And just medium pressure, not putting a ton of pressure on it, just making sure I'm keeping everything flat. What I should have done too is done a before and after of sharpness test, so we could see if we're making a difference. All right, that's pretty dang good. I'm happy with where that's at. So obviously, still have a lot of marks from the 300 stone. However, those are much better than that factory grind that was on there before, and now it's completely flat. So we've achieved flatness. Oh, just fell. My pen fell inside my shirt. Get out of there. So now we've achieved flatness. Now I'm going to go just a little bit more lightly with the pressure to kind of wear down and Try not to put as many deep grooves in it, but just try to like lightly, I guess, sand that surface, if you will. And man, having a holder for it like this helps so much. Before it was just slipping all over and it was just a pain in the butt. But now this thing is super helpful. So now I'm just gonna do some light pressure, very light pressure, just kind of try to lightly sand off any of those marks before we move up to the 1000. As you can see, it's taking off a good amount of material. All right, so, and there is a burr on there, but that's from the factory, and I'll get rid of that once I start sharpening the bevel here. For now, we're just flattening the back. Okay, so that side's good to go. I'm just gonna give it a spritz down here. Okay. Now we're gonna flip it over to the 1000 side. Okay, we're gonna kind of essentially do the same thing. Just keep it going on there. We're just trying to move up grits now and essentially polish that back side of that chisel. A little something on there. And ideally, you'll see in a second, I'm gonna have to jump from the 1000 up to the 16,000. And ideally, you'd have a progression of grits going up, but I didn't want to spend all that money on, because this one alone is over $100, and then to get the other ones, obviously it's another $100 and up from there. So yeah, you could spend a lot of money sharpening chisels, but I'm just starting with this for now, seeing how it goes. So. I think we're making good progress. Let's check. It's a little hard to tell if we're making decent progress because you still have all those scratches on there from, some are the 1000, but I'm sure some of them are also the 300. But we are flat now, and that's good. And it does look like I have some scratches towards the tip from the 300, I think, so I'm going to try to get rid of those. What I'm going to do is just go in forward and backwards motions. That way I put specific scratches and I can see where I'm hitting and where I'm not. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. All right, it's looking pretty good. So now you can see from about this point all the way to the edge, it's all those scratches going in the same direction, which is what I want. It means that all of that is worn down to the 1000 grit. Just gonna do a tiny bit more here. Putting even pressure. Lightening my pressure even more than I had before. All right. I'm gonna call that good. There's still some little tiny swirls I'm gonna try to get rid of real quick. Okay, I like where that's at. So now I'm gonna move up to the 16,000 grit. Now, like I said before, ideally you'd have a middle, kind of a middle grit that you'd, or a couple middle grits that you'd do in between these two, but I don't have that, so we're just gonna go for it and see if we can polish it up. So it's a good idea to flatten it. This was the part that I was having trouble with before, was flattening it, because it would just slide around everywhere. Because once you get it to a certain point, it kind of grips itself and it doesn't want to go anymore. So now we're just going to keep going, and I am going to do it at a slightly different angle like that, so that I can kind of see where those scratches are getting worn out. Now this one does wear out, so I will have to utilize the entire stone as well as flip it around. Okay, flip it around. There we go. And this is very smooth. I mean, you can't even really feel it grinding at all. It just feels kind of like you're just going over a piece of glass, I guess you could say. It's a glass stone. All right, let's check how we're doing here. Interesting. So the part that's polishing up first is that spot that was initially low, which is kind of interesting. I wonder why that's happening. Not really sure. But we're getting that finish on there like we want. That mirror finish. That's what that 16,000 grit stone will do. It's interesting. So I'm going to try to put a little bit more pressure on the very tip here. I'm not going to lift up at all, but I'm just putting a little bit more pressure on the tip to try to wear down that a little bit better than that middle section. And flip it around. And it's creeping more towards the tip. That polished section is creeping more towards the tip. I'm going to go ahead and flatten this again. Oh, that suction pulled it right out. All right. Definitely takes time when you're sharpening a new chisel like this and flattening the back. And it would be a lot quicker if I did have that middle stone like I was talking about, but I don't, so I'm just gonna have to make do. All right, we're getting closer. Working our way up. Now, for my sake, I'm not too worried about getting all those micro scratches out. But I am trying to get that polish up to the tip there. And I'm actually going to switch directions here so we can maybe get a little bit different pattern going. good part is that once you get this done and you get your back nice and flat how you want it, in a perfect world, you'd never have to touch it again because it's nice and flat. The only thing you're sharpening is that bevel. Obviously, unless something happens to it, unless you get a nice deep scratch in there or something, then yeah, you have to touch it up again. But this is kind of a one-off thing, having to do all this to get it kind of what I want. Interesting. So we are getting a little bit, I don't think you'll be able to see it on camera, but right towards the very edge, the tip there, getting a little bit of polish as well. Let's see if you can see it there. Right in the tip, there's a little bit of polish as well. So I think we're getting there almost. They say good things take time. So close. I'm curious though why the part that was initially hollow turned into the high spot that's getting hit. It's kind of weird. Maybe it has something to do with my stone. This probably isn't the most exciting thing to be watching today, but I don't know, maybe put it on in the background. Have a little company while you work. All right, we're so close. Getting there. It's definitely not a clean procedure. A little mark in there. Okay, progress. Almost there. Got a little bit towards the tip we need to get off. See that little bow tie looking thing towards the tip? That's what I'm trying to get off right now. I do wonder as well if the little tiny micro scratches in there, I'm wondering if it's from the 300 grit contaminating the 16,000 grit. That's my thought anyways. We're getting there, folks. We're getting close. The bevel part should be much quicker and much easier. This is the time-consuming part here. Okay, so close. And I can feel that bevel on that edge, so that's good. Or a burr, sorry, not the bevel. All right. I think that's all I got in me for now. This is why I've only done 2 of them so far, because it takes such a long time. All right, so we're doing pretty good. We got it polished almost all the way. Like I said, we still got the tiny little bit at the end there, which is just not wanting to come off. And I don't really want to jump back to the 1000 grit because then I have to repeat this process. but it's getting there. Now, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go down to the 1,000, and then don't worry, I'm not gonna go down to redo that, but I'm gonna flip it over to the 1,000 and do this bevel. Get that going. Oh man, I got some little nibs on there from the table. Gotta be careful where you put this stuff. Trying to just get all that little, there's like little tiny rubber things from when I was sanding. Trying to get those off real quick. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go back to this bevel, find the bevel. Try to get locked in place here. Just gonna start with a few back strokes. Okay. Trying to do this freehand, and it's not always the easiest to do it freehand, but one of the things I can use, let me grab it. Voila. I'm gonna test this guy out here. This is the Bridge City Toolworks honing guide, the HG4. It has this nifty little setup gauge here. So what we're gonna do, to get this chisel set in there. Make sure it's square on it. And I am gonna try to center it just a tiny bit more. That's pretty close. Okay. Now, again, with these Bridge City tools, I should probably be reading the manual, but I'm not. And I'm gonna just try to go for it. don't know what's already on this chisel. Maybe a 25 degree, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, so it has a 25 degree bevel on it already. So I'm just gonna try to kind of match that. Get it squared up on there. It's my first time using this, so try to figure it out as I go here. Now I can adjust this back. Ever so slightly. Okay, I think that's the current angle that I have on it. So let's see on the 1000 what happens. Let's see how that's wearing. Okay. So I'll just show you what we got going on. So these on this side here is going to be the new scratches. Oh. Looks like Instagram got paused there for a second. So this side here is going to be the new scratches. As you can see. All right. Trying to put even pressure on both sides. Don't want to wear out one side or the other too much. And we're getting there. Looks like there's a little bit of a low spot there, but we're getting to it. I'm gonna turn around and do this side so get even wear. And technically I don't have to do this entire bevel, but I'd like to just because I want to. So we got a little bit left over here that we're trying to get rid of. Give it that lubrication it needs. I'd like to be able to do it by hand, but I'm just not skilled enough yet to do that. So honing guide comes in clutch. How are we doing? Almost there. bit more. So close, and I'm pretty much there. I just have it on the very edge, like a tiny bit that I need to get rid of. All right, looking pretty good. I'm just gonna do some strokes to make sure we got everything uniform. Okay. Now, do have quite the burr going on there, but get rid of that. Get rid of that burr soon. We'll just bend it off right now if we want to. Okay, so got it nice and clean there. Now what I'm gonna do is just come up, make a micro bevel. So using my honing guide template again, just gonna come up just a few degrees. Okay. Now this should be creating a secondary bevel. Let's check. And it is creating a little bit off. Now I don't know if that's because I'm holding it wrong or if it's not quite square on there or what. That's better. I think I was just putting uneven pressure. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go over to my 16,000 grit. Swap it out. I'm going to give this a spray down too because it's a little, it's quite dirty. And then we're going to resurface it with that 300. I'm not going to wipe that down. flatten it. I can take this and just do some strokes. Go ahead and flip around, do it on the other side here so I'm not wearing out the stone too much. Pretty good, almost there. What the heck? That's weird. We had a ghost vacuum come on there. Almost. All right, well, it's not perfect, but it's close as I'm gonna get, I think. Now we're gonna take this out on the back of it and just take off that burr. Get a tiny bit of burr on there still. All right, that's not bad. In fact, it's pretty dang good. Now, I have a strop. I don't have it here. You can always use a good old belt. Give it a little bit of strop in action there. A real leather belt, that is, not a pleather belt. That's mighty sharp right there. Let's do the hair test. Oh yeah. So, final result for the day. Let me clean that stuff off there. I just got some stuff on it. So I've got that little shiny micro bevel on there. The back side's nice and polished. Could do a little bit more. I'll probably do a little bit more eventually, but for now, it's pretty good. So let's do any paper around here. Okay, paper test. Wow, I'm not doing it well here. There you go. It's hard to do with a chisel on camera, but you get the idea. It's pretty sharp. Hair test. Yeah, cuts hair. So all in all, not bad. Like I said, I am a fairly beginner at doing this. Pretty novice at sharpening chisels, but not bad for a first time. Let's try it on some cherry. How about that? So I got some little dovetail action going here that I was working on. Let's see if it's which end do I want to hit? I can do this little edge here. It works. I'm gonna get a different piece. There's some stuff I don't care about. That leaves it really smooth. Should put it in the vise instead of trying to hold it. There we go. Not bad. All right. I mean, obviously you guys can't see that, but it's sharp. Leaves a nice smooth edge on it. How about end grain? Let's try some end grain. This is Doug Fir end grain, I believe, so. This is really dangerous. I shouldn't be doing it here. I'm gonna bring you over to the vise. And unfortunately, I can't really get you guys a close-up. Well, that's still difficult, but let's try something a little harder. Piece of walnut. Well, looks like I still need some more practice. And I still have a burr on there, which I'm not sure how to get off exactly. All right, well, obviously I did something wrong because I don't know how to get the burr off, but can at least get some shavings off of it. Overall, not a huge success. Definitely need to practice more and work on it more. Again, there's still that burr though, so I think I'm doing something not incorrectly here, but still pairs some stuff nicely. Obviously the end grain's pretty tough, but we'll take off some little stuff. It's not too bad. I mean, it's better than it was, but it's still not where I want it to be. We'll put it that way. There's probably a few different factors in there. One of them being that, number one, it's an Amazon chisel. That's a good place to start. Number two, I should have definitely used some middle grits to get those fine marks out, as well as, yeah, just taking my time and getting a nice bevel on there instead of rushing through it a little bit too much. But overall, gotta try something, you gotta learn, you gotta start somewhere. So overall, I'm not too upset with it, but I definitely still need to work on it. At least I got the back. These guys are taping up the boxes like crazy over here. At least I got the back flat. So now I can work on that bevel, getting it nice and sharp. So, all right, well, the desk is still here. Desk is still looking good. I'm gonna go check on the doors outside. Go outside in just a minute and check on the doors and see how they're doing. Hopefully they're drying up nicely. But desk is almost done. Like I said, I got the doors there. I'm gonna finish up the front. I'm gonna roll the front and hopefully get the doors on by the end of the day or by next week so you guys can see it fully complete. We do have a nice sign that's gonna be going on the front here, so that's exciting. And yeah, come on over to Las Vegas, end of July, July 25th to the 28th to see what we got going on. Check this thing out. Got a bunch of fun stuff for you. So check it out. We'll be in Vegas and we will see you next week. Every Thursday, I'll be here. Every Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So be here next week. If you're bored, check it out. All right, guys. That's all I got. Tried making a chisel sharp. Didn't really work that well, but started to get there. And then continue working on spraying those doors. So check in next week and this guy will be finished. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Happy Friday tomorrow and enjoy your weekend. Okay, guys, I'll see you next week.